I want to talk to you today about a never doubt mindset. Maybe life has hit you hard. Maybe the job didn't come through. The diagnosis wasn't what you prayed for, or the relationship ended when you thought it was just getting started. It's easy in those moments to start questioning everything, to let doubt creep in, whispering, maybe it's not going to happen for you. Maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you've missed your chance. But I came with good news. You don't need every answer to believe. You don't have to see the way for the way to be made. You don't have to feel strong to be strong. All you need is a made-up mind. A mindset that says, I refuse to doubt. Because the truth is, doubt is the enemy of destiny. It's the invisible thief that comes not just to steal your peace, but to delay your promise. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It disguises itself as logic, plays itself off as caution, dresses up in the clothes of what if. But when you live with a never doubt mindset, you stop rehearsing defeat and start expecting victory. I'm not saying life will always go according to your plan, but I am saying it will always go according to God's plan if you hold your peace, stand your ground, and believe without backing down. You may not know how, you may not know when, but when you believe with all your heart, when you walk with a mind that says, I will not doubt, you release the kind of faith that moves heaven, that unlocks miracles, and that rewrites what seemed impossible. Let's dive in today and talk about what happens when you develop a never doubt mindset. You're not going to leave the same way you came. There are moments in life when everything around you tells you it's over. The bank account is low. The door has closed. The medical report doesn't look good. The business isn't growing, and the opportunity seems long gone. In times like these, it's not the situation that defeats you. It's the doubt that creeps into your mind. Doubt doesn't shout. It whispers. It doesn't show up with horns blaring. It just quietly settles in and begins to wear down your confidence, your hope, your expectations. But if you're going to step into everything God has for you, if you're going to see the breakthrough, the favor, the open doors, then you have to develop a mindset that says, I will not doubt. You see, doubt delays what faith can accelerate. God has already written your story. The victory has already been planned. The promise is already yours. But when you let doubt linger, it puts things on pause. It doesn't cancel your destiny. It just slows it down. God's not holding things back from you. He's waiting for you to align your belief with His Word. When you carry a never doubt mindset, you're saying, God, I trust your timing. I trust your process. I trust that even when I don't see anything happening, something is shifting in my favor. Think about a seed buried in the soil. For weeks, you see nothing. But that doesn't mean nothing is happening. Deep beneath the surface, roots are growing, foundations are being set. The environment may not look fruitful, but the process is unfolding. That's how God works. And when you doubt, you dig up the seed. You question if it was ever planted. You wonder if you misheard. And you stop watering it with your words of faith. But when you have a never doubt mindset, you say, I don't have to see it to believe it. I know God is working even when I can't trace Him. One of the most powerful things you can do in difficult seasons is to remain confident, not in yourself, but in what God has spoken. Faith is not denial of reality. It's declaring a greater reality. It's looking at the facts and saying, this may be where I am, but it's not where I'm staying. Doubt says, what if it doesn't happen? Faith says, what if it does? Doubt says, I've never seen anything like this before. Faith says, but I serve a God who specializes in the impossible. Some people spend their whole lives on the edge of breakthrough, but they never step into it because they never fully believe it's possible. They pray, but they worry. They hope, but they hesitate. They speak the promises, but they live with fear. Let me tell you, God doesn't respond to confusion. He responds to conviction. And conviction says, even if everything around me says no, I know the one who has the final say. When Peter stepped out of the boat to walk on water, it wasn't the storm that made him sink, it was the doubt. As long as he kept his eyes on Jesus, he did the impossible. But the moment he looked at the wind and the waves, the moment he let what he saw override what he believed, he began to sink. That's the danger of doubt. It makes you forget what you know in favor of what you feel. It shifts your focus from the promise to the problem. But if you keep your eyes on the one who called, you'll walk through things that were never meant to be walked on. You'll do what others said was impossible. A never doubt mindset doesn't mean you won't face fear, but it means you won't surrender to it. It doesn't mean the questions won't come, but you won't let them control your mind. When the enemy tries to play reruns of your past, remind him of your future. When the thoughts say, it's too late, you say, God is never late. When the voice says, you're not qualified, you answer, I'm chosen. There is power in believing, power in refusing to let your mind entertain defeat. Your mind is the soil where the seeds of your future are planted. Guard it. Protect it. Don't let weeds of doubt take root. The enemy knows he doesn't have to stop you if he can just get you to stop yourself. That's why the battle is always in your thoughts, because that's where your future is shaped. Some of you have been waiting a long time. You've prayed, you've fasted, you've stood on the promises, and nothing has changed. But what if nothing is happening yet? Because God is preparing something better than what you asked for. What if the delay isn't denial, but development? What if the silence is the setup for the suddenly? Don't let the in between make you doubt what you heard in the beginning. Faith grows in the waiting. Faith develops when everything in you wants to quit, but you choose to stand. That's the kind of mindset that gets heaven's attention. That's the kind of heart that God honors, not a perfect one, not one that never gets tired, but one that says, no matter what comes, I will not doubt. I will believe until the end. You have to decide today that you will not let doubt dictate your decisions. You will not let uncertainty steal your vision. You will not let what you don't see cancel what you do believe. When you carry a never doubt mindset, you walk differently. You speak differently. You expect differently. You don't shrink back. You rise up. You don't second guess. You stand firm. You don't say, maybe it will happen. You say, it's already on the way. So wherever you are right now, whatever you're facing, I dare you to stir up your faith. I challenge you to believe again, to speak again, to dream again. You've cried long enough. You've worried long enough. You've wondered long enough. Now it's time to decide. No more doubt. No more rehearsing what went wrong. No more giving airtime to fear. You are stepping into the season where your mindset will match your miracle. You are walking in the strength that comes from faith. You are rising with boldness, confidence, and unshakable belief. It's not too late. You're not too far. The promise is not gone. The answer is not denied. But your mindset has to shift. Not tomorrow, not next year, right now, decide today, I will not doubt. I will believe. I will stand. I will wait with expectation. And I will see the goodness of God in my life because I carry a never doubt mindset. What you believe is shaping everything in your life. Your attitude, your decisions, your words, your expectations, they all begin with what's taking place in your mind. Belief isn't just a feeling. It's a force. It's creative. It's active. And the truth is your belief is building something, whether you realize it or not. If you walk through life believing nothing good ever happens for you, that's not just a thought. That's a seed. And when you water it long enough, it will take root and start producing things in your life that match that belief. But when you begin to shift your belief, when you carry the mindset that says, I may not see it yet, but I believe it's coming, things begin to change. Not because the situation changed first, but because you changed first. The way you believe will determine the way you live. When you believe for peace, you stop accepting anxiety as normal. When you believe for restoration, you stop calling brokenness your identity. When you believe for breakthrough, you stop adjusting to lack and start preparing for more. What you believe shapes what you receive. If your hands are open, but your heart is full of doubt, you're not really in position to receive anything. You can pray all day long, but if deep down you don't believe it's possible, those prayers are being overshadowed by your expectations. Some people ask God to open a door, but walk away from it before it even has a chance to unlock. Not because the door was closed permanently, but because they gave up too soon. They let their belief settle into hopelessness. Belief is like a magnet. It attracts what's aligned with it. If you believe you're always behind, that everyone else is favored but you, that things never work out for you, guess what? You'll start noticing more and more evidence to support that belief. Not because it's true, but because you've programmed yourself to expect it. But when you flip the script, when you start saying, I am blessed, I am qualified, I am chosen, I am next in line, suddenly your perspective shifts. Your eyes are open to opportunity. Your ears are tuned in to wisdom. Your steps are aligned with purpose. There's a reason why Jesus often said, according to your faith, be it unto you. Not according to your feelings, not according to your background, not according to your resume, but according to what you believe. God responds to faith. That's the exchange rate of heaven. And belief is the door that faith walks through. If you don't believe it, you'll never ask for it. If you don't believe it, you won't prepare for it. If you don't believe it, you'll walk right past the miracle you've been praying for. Some of you have been speaking the right things, but deep down, your belief doesn't match your words. You're declaring healing, but believing defeat. You're saying, I'm expecting good things, but on the inside, you're rehearsing every way it could go wrong. Can I tell you something? You don't just need words of faith. You need a heart of faith, because what you believe on the inside is more powerful than what you say on the outside. That's why Scripture says, guard your heart above all else, for everything you do flows from it. Your heart is where belief lives. And if your belief is damaged, your life will be limited. Belief doesn't mean you never have questions. It doesn't mean you never feel afraid. But it does mean that when fear shows up, belief answers the door. It means when doubt tries to creep in, belief takes authority and says, you don't belong here. Belief is not passive. It's not a soft emotion. It's strong. It's firm. It's anchored in the truth not shaken by opinions or timelines. You may not know when your answer is coming, but belief says, I know it's on the way. When you carry a strong belief, you start making room for what you've been praying for. You begin acting like it's already done. You don't wait for things to be perfect to celebrate. You rejoice in advance. You get the nursery ready even when the report says it's not possible. You build the business plan even when the funding hasn't arrived. You apply for the promotion even when you feel underqualified. Why? Because your belief is pulling the future into the present. You're walking by faith, not by sight. There's a woman in Scripture who had been bleeding for 12 years. Doctors couldn't help her. She had spent everything she had. From the outside, her story looked hopeless. But inside her heart, she carried one powerful belief. If I can just touch the hem of his garment, I'll be healed. That wasn't wishful thinking. That was determined belief. She didn't need a crowd to agree with her. She didn't need anyone else to cheer her on. She didn't even need to explain herself. She believed. And because she believed, she received. That's how powerful your mindset is. It can bring healing into places that medicine couldn't reach. It can bring peace into storms that logic can't quiet. It can turn a desperate situation into a divine moment, all because you chose to believe. Some of you are one decision away from seeing everything shift. But it's not a decision to change your job or change your relationship. It's the decision to change your belief. Stop waiting for things to get better before you believe. Start believing and watch how things begin to get better. Stop waiting for the confirmation before you prepare. Start preparing and watch the confirmation come. What you believe is building your future right now. Lay the foundation with faith. There are people who will try to talk you out of it. They'll say you're dreaming too big. They'll remind you of your past. They'll question your timing. But don't let other people's unbelief shape your belief. You weren't given your dream to fit into their logic. You were given your dream to walk by faith, not sight. Their lack of vision shouldn't stop your forward motion. Keep believing, keep pushing, keep speaking. You may not have all the details, but you do have a decision. You get to choose what you believe. Choose the promise over the pressure. Choose the word over the worry. Choose the truth over the timeline. And when you do, you'll begin to see things shift around you. Not because the world changed, but because your belief did. So today, ask yourself, what am I really believing for? What am I preparing for? What am I expecting? If your belief has gotten weary, it's time to renew it. It's time to stir it up again. Speak life over it. Feed it with faith. Guard it from doubt. And remember, what you believe shapes what you receive. Believe boldly. Believe consistently. Believe without limits. Because the size of your belief determines the size of your breakthrough. There's something powerful that happens when your mindset is anchored. Not in fear, not in confusion, not in chaos, but in confidence. And not just any confidence. Confidence that God is working, even when life looks uncertain. Confidence that you're being led, even when the path feels unclear. Confidence that the outcome is still victory, even when the present looks like defeat. You see, life will always try to talk you out of your faith. Situations will challenge your belief, and voices around you may tell you to be realistic, to stop expecting too much. But if you're going to live with peace, with power, with stability, then you must understand this: God doesn't move in a mindset full of confusion. He moves in the atmosphere of confidence. When your thoughts are all over the place, one day believing, the next day doubting, it creates a shaky foundation. One moment you're declaring, I know God's in control. And the next moment you're panicking because you don't see change. That kind of instability doesn't come from God. Scripture says that a double-minded person is unstable in all their ways. That means when you allow confusion to take over your mind, it begins to affect every area of your life. Your relationships, your decisions, your emotions, your health. You wake up with anxiety, go to bed with worry, and live with constant tension. But when you choose to operate with confidence, when your mindset is clear and your spirit is steady, things begin to shift around you. Confidence doesn't mean you have all the answers. It means you trust the one who does. It means that even when nothing around you makes sense, you stand in the truth that God's plan is still intact. You're not shaken by every delay. You're not discouraged by every closed door. And you're not driven by what you see in the natural. Why? Because your mindset is anchored in a higher reality. That kind of confidence is what moves heaven. That's what releases peace in the storm and clarity in the fog. Now, let's be honest. Confusion will try to come. Life has a way of throwing curveballs. Maybe the opportunity you prayed for fell through. Maybe you thought that relationship was forever, and now it's over. Maybe you thought this would be your year of promotion, but instead you feel stuck. In those moments, the enemy loves to plant seeds of doubt. Did God really say? Are you sure you heard right? Maybe this was just your own idea. That's how confusion creeps in. It's subtle. It's strategic. But you have to make a decision early on. I may not understand everything, but I will not let confusion live in my mind. I choose clarity. I choose peace. I choose confidence. There's a difference between asking God questions and questioning God's character. It's okay to say, God, I don't understand. It's okay to cry, to feel frustrated, to wonder why it's taking so long. But don't let that turn into a mindset of doubt. Don't let your questions lead you away from trust. Let them lead you deeper into it. Say, God, I don't understand, but I still believe. I don't see the way, but I know you're making one. I don't feel strong, but I know you're strengthening me. That's confidence. That's what God honors. Think about a GPS. When you take a wrong turn, it doesn't shut off and say, you blew it. Good luck. No, it calmly says, a recalculating. It's still committed to getting you to your destination. That's how God is with you. Even if you've taken some detours, even if you feel lost or off track, God is not confused. He's not frustrated. He's not giving up on you. He's still directing your steps, still orchestrating details, still working behind the scenes. But for you to receive what He's doing, your mindset has to stay confident. Not perfect, just rooted in trust. Confidence isn't loud. It doesn't have to prove itself. It doesn't need everyone's approval. It's quiet, steady, consistent. It walks into the room and says, I know who I am, and I know who my God is. It's not shaken by rumors, not moved by opposition, not broken by delay. That's the mindset you need when you're waiting on a promise. That's the mindset you need when you're walking through the valley. That's the mindset that attracts the favor and power of God. Let's take a moment and look at David. Before he was ever king, he was a shepherd boy. When he stood before Goliath, there was every reason to be confused. He had no armor. He wasn't trained in battle. Everyone told him he was too young, too small, too unqualified. But David didn't let their voices shake his confidence. He didn't let their doubt become his confusion. He said, I come to you in the name of the Lord. He knew that his confidence wasn't in himself. It was in the God who went with him in private long before the public battle ever showed up. You may not be facing a literal giant, but you're facing something big, a financial mountain, a health scare, a personal setback. And in that moment, you have a choice. Will you be driven by confusion, or will you be anchored in confidence? Will you shrink back, or will you rise up knowing that the same God who helped you before is with you now? Don't underestimate the power of a clear mind. When your mind is made up, your path becomes clearer. When your thoughts are settled, your heart can rest. And when your heart is at rest, your faith can rise. Too often, people are stuck not because of the problem, but because of the confusion surrounding it. They're overthinking, overanalyzing, second guessing every decision. That's not where God wants you to live. He wants you to be free. Free from the mental fog. Free from the torment of uncertainty. Free from the cycle of indecision. That freedom begins in your mindset. Start declaring it every day. My mind is clear. My thoughts are steady. My spirit is strong. I have confidence that God is with me. I have confidence that things are working for my good. I have confidence that I'm walking in purpose, even when I don't see the full picture. When you do that, you're creating an environment where faith can flourish, where peace can rest, and where God can move. You weren't created to live in confusion. You were created to live in clarity. You were designed to operate in divine confidence. And when you embrace that truth, when you protect your thoughts, align your words, and keep your faith strong, you'll see things begin to align in your life. Not because the storm stopped, but because your mind was anchored in the one who commands the storm. Don't wait for clarity to come from circumstances. Let it rise from within you. Let your confidence be the compass that leads you through every season. And remember, God moves in the mindset of confidence, not confusion. So lift your head, quiet the noise, and walk forward boldly. You've got everything you need, not because of who you are, but because of who's with you. There are moments in life when you can't afford to be passive with your belief. Moments when it feels like everything is trying to push you back, shut you down, convince you to give up. That's when you need a certain kind of mindset. A mindset that doesn't shrink in the face of pressure, but speaks with authority. A mindset that doesn't tiptoe around the problem, but addresses it directly. A mindset that knows how to stand firm and say, I'm not going anywhere. That's the mindset that commands mountains to move. Mountains are those things in your life that seem immovable. Obstacles that look too big, too permanent, too overwhelming. Maybe it's a chronic illness. Maybe it's a financial setback. Maybe it's a deeply rooted fear or trauma that's been with you for years. When you carry a mindset that doubts, you look at that mountain and say, I guess it's always going to be this way. But when you carry a belief that refuses to back down, you speak to that mountain and say, you don't get to stay here. There's a difference between waiting on God and waiting in fear. Waiting on God means you're actively believing, actively declaring, actively standing in faith. Waiting in fear means you're silent, you're unsure, and you're hoping something changes without really expecting it to. But Scripture teaches us to speak, to declare, to prophecy to the very thing that's blocking us. It doesn't say, think about the mountain. It doesn't say, hope it moves. It says, speak to it. Your words have power, but they get their strength from your mindset. If your mind is filled with defeat, your words will reflect that. You'll pray prayers filled with uncertainty. You'll speak in circles. You'll hesitate instead of command. But when your mind is fixed, when your faith is unshakable, when you've decided deep down that you will not doubt, your voice carries weight. Your declaration becomes a weapon. Your boldness becomes a key that unlocks doors no man can shut. God never told us to be passive in our problems. He told us to be aggressive with our belief. You can't whisper to a mountain and expect it to move. You can't hope it disappears while silently retreating. No, you have to speak with authority. You have to remind that obstacle who your God is. You have to speak to that sickness and say, you're not permanent. You have to speak to that depression and say, you won't hold me down. You have to speak to that fear and say, you're not the author of my story. And here's the truth. Your mountain doesn't respond to emotion. It responds to faith. Tears are real, but pain is valid. But mountains don't move just because you're tired of them. They move when you rise up in belief and command them to go. They move when you're consistent, not just on the good days, but on the days when everything in you wants to stay quiet. That's when your mindset has to kick in. That's when you say, I've cried, but I'm still standing. I've waited, but I'm still believing. I've been knocked down, but I refuse to give up. Some people live with mountains for so long that they stop trying to move them. They build their house in the shadow what was meant to be removed. They adjust to the burden instead of challenging it. They accept dysfunction as their normal. But just because it's been there a long time doesn't mean it's supposed to stay. Just because the mountain is big doesn't mean it's stronger than your belief. You weren't created to adapt to bondage. You were created to walk in freedom. You weren't designed to live under pressure. You were designed to live with power. When Jesus spoke to the fig tree and it withered, he was showing his disciples the power of belief. He didn't touch the tree. He didn't push it over. He spoke to it. Then he turned and said, if you have faith and do not doubt, you can say to this mountain, be removed, and it will move. That wasn't just a metaphor. That was a revelation. It was a picture of what can happen when someone stands in unwavering belief and speaks with conviction. But notice the conditioning. If you have faith and do not doubt, that's where the battle is won or lost. Not in your surroundings, not in your resources, not in your emotions, in your mindset. If the enemy can make you second guess what you already know, he can neutralize your authority. That's why your greatest fight isn't with the mountain, it's with your doubt. The moment you remove doubt, you release power. The moment you decide, I don't care how big this looks, I still believe. That's the moment things start to shift. This doesn't mean everything will change overnight. Some mountains don't move instantly. But even when they're still there, your mindset can carry you in victory. Even when the situation hasn't changed, your posture changes. You walk taller. You speak stronger. You stop begging and start declaring. You stop analyzing and start commanding. And that's when you become dangerous to the enemy. Not when everything is easy, but when your belief stays strong, even when it's not. The enemy is hoping you'll grow wary. He wants you to stop speaking. He wants you to look at the size of the mountain and back away. But what he didn't count on is your persistence. What he didn't plan for was your mindset. You've been through too much to give up now. You've come too far to stay silent now. You've seen too much of God's goodness to forget who you are now. So speak again. Declare again. Rise up again. That mountain has no right to stand in the way of your destiny. That obstacle is not bigger than your God. That resistance is not more powerful than your belief. Stand with confidence. Stand with boldness. Speak with authority. And don't stop until you see it move. And even if it takes longer than you thought, even if the mountain doesn't budge on your timeline, don't let that shake your mindset. Because the greatest victory isn't when the mountain moves. It's when you refuse to quit speaking to it. It's when you keep believing, keep standing, keep declaring in the face of the impossible. You were created to overcome. You were designed to rise. Your words carry power because they're backed by heaven. Your belief has weight because it's anchored in truth. So don't stay quiet. Don't retreat. Don't adjust to the obstacle. Stand up, speak out, and command that mountain to move. As we come to the end of this message, I want to remind you of one simple but life-shifting truth. Your mindset matters more than you know. It's not just about what you go through. It's about how you go through it. It's not about having all the answers. It's about having the right attitude. Life will try to shake you. People may disappoint you. Circumstances may shift under your feet. But your power is not in what happens around you. Your power is in what happens within you. You don't need to see the full picture to trust the artist. You don't have to understand every step to take the next one. All you need is a decision, a resolve deep in your spirit that says, no matter what I face, I will not doubt. That kind of mindset is unshakable. It's immovable. It's the kind of mindset that attracts favor, opens doors, releases miracles, and commands mountains to move. Don't let delay make you doubt. Don't let silence convince you God has forgotten. Don't let fear narrate your future. You were created to believe boldly, to hope relentlessly, to walk confidently, to expect the impossible. And when the enemy tries to whisper that it's too late, too hard, too broken, remind him that you serve a God who specializes in the turnaround, the comeback, the suddenly. It may not look like it now. The evidence may not be there yet. But keep your mind made up. Keep your heart steady. Keep your faith strong. Because doubt may knock, but it doesn't get to stay. Fear may show up, but it doesn't get the final word. You're walking in a new level of confidence, a deeper level of trust, and a mindset that refuses to back down. So stand firm. Speak life. Walk by faith. And never doubt the power of what God can do through a made-up mind. This is your season to believe again. This is your moment to rise. This is your time to live with a never-doubt mindset.